If you're sitting there and your menopause symptoms have suddenly got worse and you're sitting there wondering, what did I do wrong? Then you're not alone and you're not cracking up, but keep watching for a little bit more information. So I'm Rhiannon and I created Freedom Over 40, not just about breaking free of the 9 to 5 grind, but I created this channel because it was about everything that happens to us women once we get to a certain age in our life. And as we are getting to that age of 35, 40 years of age and above, our body changes, our hormones change, and we start to go through peri and menopausal symptoms. And this channel is where I talk openly and honestly about my situation, my experiences with you. It's about battling different things like your hormones, going through the change. I'm fully in menopause. I have been now for a good few years. I've been on HRT for the last 3 years. I'm using the menopausal HRT patches, the Conti patch I'm now on. So this is where I talk honestly and about menopause, midlife changes, and rebuilding lives without shame. And today I want to talk to you about something so many women message me about, that moment when you're menopause. You think 1 minute you're cruising along, you're kind of getting used to it, sort of, and then all of a sudden it's like, what the heck is going on? You've had a massive slump, a crash. You feel so lethargic, absolutely exhausted. You might even have a little bit of a bleed. The night sweats are like tenfold. Like, what is going on? You thought they'd calm down or they'd regulated to a certain degree, and then you feel like you're back to square one again. So I'm just here to tell you that is basically something that will happen. It's just because your hormones are basically adjusting. That's the only way I can explain it. Now, I know I'm not a medical professional, so please go and seek medical advice. See your GP or medical professional, whoever you have access to or can have access to. I will always advise that, but this is purely my experience and what I understand about going through the change. So 1 minute you think you're coping, and then the next, you're exhausted, you're emotional, you're anxious. Maybe your hair is shedding. I mean, I've had to chop my hair. For those that have been following me since I started my channel, my hair was a lot longer, and I've had to cut it, and then I've had to cut it again, even shorter, because I was shedding hair like as if I wanted to completely go bald. It was horrible. And everything is covered in my hair, the floor, the towels, the bathroom, the bedding. And I'm nowhere near it when I come to brushing my hair. That even in the kitchen, I'm so paranoid when I'm cooking dinner, and I'm like, I constantly have to tie my hair back, and I was worried that I was going to get any of my hair in the food, and I don't want to do that. So it was really getting me down. And when I went to the hairdressers 2 weeks ago, I just said, look, I just need to go into a bob. I need to cut it to a bob length now, because I feel like it's got to that stage where it doesn't feel, for me, it didn't feel presentable in my hair. Like, my hair didn't feel right. Even though the condition was good, I just didn't feel right in myself with my hair. So I basically cut it to a bob. And what I'm trying to say to you is this, that let me say this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling like that. If you feel or resonate with what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong in feeling like that. It's actually very humanistic of us to feel that way. We should be recognizing how we feel. That's the first point. Of course, if these symptoms carry on, again, I would always stress, go and seek medical advice. Just get yourself checked out, get your blood work done, just to make sure. But ultimately, it's highly likely it will be your menopausal symptoms and just your body's way of just adjusting and going through the motions of the changes, of the fluctuations of your hormones. 1 minute you're up and everything heightens, and the next minute you're having a slump and it's dipping again, and then you back up again, and then you think you're level and then it'll dip. And that's literally how it is. And it's just constantly having to adjust and just realize that this isn't you as such. You've done nothing wrong. This is just your body and your hormones reacting to the changes that are going on. The things that can trigger symptoms getting worse include stress, illness, poor sleep, if you do a lot of traveling, emotional overload, or there's simply like another hormonal shift. That's where you feel that there will be these big changes that will happen or that will affect it. So you're not breaking, it's just your body's changing, okay? Like menopausal symptoms suddenly can feel worse. Your perimenopausal can just flare up and you just don't expect it. And like I say, women are experiencing this in so many different areas or stages in their life at different ages. There's a lot of women now that are going through perimenopause in their 30s, mid 30s up. It's not when they're in their late 40s anymore. And that's another thing that's becoming very apparent now, and that I'm starting to come across that. And like I say, people are reaching out to me and messaging me and sending me emails and, explaining what they've been going through. And it's amazing how many people are going through similar things to me or have gone through similar things to me. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. So thank you very much indeed. I've not been feeling myself lately. I've not been feeling my best because I think it's a combination of I was really ill with a chest infection for a good 3-4 weeks. I also had a bereavement in my family. And I think a combination of really being not for sick, where I felt like I had COVID again. That's how bad I felt. I was in so much pain with my back and my lungs and having to go on to strong antibiotics and steroids to help me breathe. And I was going through so many, I can't even speak, inhalers for asthma because I'm also asthmatic. And, I really felt terrible. And it was so frustrating because, I'm not 100 miles an hour as a person, but I was very like on the go, like very busy with work and commitments and caring responsibilities and my businesses as well, being on top of that, doing trainings as well, and talking to people about the business and etc. And then I just had to stop. I literally had to stop because I just couldn't function. The medication I was on was so strong, it was making me so lightheaded. I felt like I was drunk all the time. It was just a weird experience. And I've started to have as well, one thing I've been experiencing through the menopause is I've been experiencing a lot of dizziness, a lot of dizzy spells. Um, and it was, exacerbated quite a bit when I was on the medication, because it was really making me as if the head, like my room was spinning. It was like my head was just, it was all over the place. So I've had to sit back and slowly adjust myself back into things. I'm back in work and, I'm starting to go back into my business again, but I'm not going to push myself too much because I know I don't want to be ill. And I want to make sure I'm being kind to myself and respecting me as a person and my mental health. And obviously there's still a lot going on in family as well. And, my grandfather, the loss of his wife, my nan that passed away. So, I'm dipping in more with him at the moment and spending time with him and, just being there as much as I can. Because it's never easy. And being at Christmas as well is quite an emotional time of year. Not everybody likes Christmas anyway. Not everyone had the best of experiences as a child or whatever, with Christmas for those that celebrate. And yeah, it's a bit of a weird time, isn't it? But we all get through it eventually. I know that. But I just want to sort of say to you this, that here's what has helped me during this time and when I get these fluctuations. And it's about giving myself permission to rest, to sit back if I can. If you're able to have that little bit of time out, if you have support, if you have someone there that can help you, if you've got children or grandchildren, it's whether or not you can be able to go to your partner or whatever and say, look, I do need a bit of time to myself. I'm not feeling my best, or this is happening. Just be honest with people, explain. And okay, not everyone's going to understand or empathize or sympathize with you, but at least you're being honest with them. Excuse me. And if you have to say no, sometimes you have to say no and not do the things that people want and just say, look, I can't, I'm not feeling my best. I need to have a bit of time to myself. I need to rest. I need to sit down and not be on the go 100 miles an hour, especially if you've got little ones around you. They could be so busy. And sometimes you just have to be kind to yourself, because otherwise you're just going to become even worse with your conditions, and your mental health will suffer more if you're not taking a step back now and again and just having a breather, okay? I'm lowering expectations on things as well. I suppose I've learnt the hard way. What I mean by that is, when you set expectations for things, like, you always go and show up for people and you do things for people or for your job or whatever, and you go over and above. And unfortunately, what I'm finding with a lot of people and situations is not everyone is doing the same back in return. So I've had to learn to adjust myself and my standards about things and realize that not everyone's going to care. Not everyone's going to want to do things to your standard. Not everyone's going to want to show up for you when you really hope they would, especially when you really need people. That's something I've had to adjust with as well, and just take on board and not take it personally, because just because I like to help people and give back and do well for people and help people the best that I can, doesn't mean that people are going to want to do the same back or return the favor. So that's a lesson that I've learned along the way. Drinking water, something completely separate and different, but being hydrated as much as I can be, trying to increase my water intake. During the cold months, I find it harder to do because all I want to do is drink hot drinks like this cup of tea that I've got here. I am a teaaholic. I love drinking my tea. It's a typical British thing. I grew up from when I was a toddler drinking tea, and yeah, tea is my drink. I love my tea. Um, what I would say is, if you're able to move, gentle movement, not overdoing it. Don't be full on hardcore. Just by getting up and moving around the property you live in. If you can't go out for a walk outside, if the weather's not great or if it's not safe, or if you'd rather go with somebody like a friend, then meet up with your friend and go for a walk around the park, around the lake, the coast, or country park, or whatever it is you're close to. Things like that when you can. Just wrap up warm if it's the winter months like it is here. And again, just be kind to yourself. Just have some fresh air. I mean, I'm quite happy in my own company. I don't have to be with anyone to go anywhere. I would quite happily go to a shop, to a cafe, or go for a walk or whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I appreciate not everyone's the same as me, and that's fine. You just got to do what's right for you. But what I want to say to you is this: you don't need to push harder. You just need to listen to yourself better. You need to recognize in yourself that things are changing. You need to try and slow down a bit and just go at a pace that's gentler and kinder to you. If you're over 40 and you're going through menopause or perimenopausal symptoms like me, then you have the right to be here. And what I want you to understand is, you're not weak, you're not failing, you're simply responding to change. That's what I want you to understand and take on board. And this phase does not mean that we're in a decline. It just means that we're adjusting. We're just going with the flow. We're just trying to respect ourselves more in our bodies and what's going on at the time. And I just want to say to you that if this helped you in any way, if this resonates with you, please just give me a like and share this video with another woman that you think might be suffering quietly with the wonderful changes that go on in our bodies as a woman. And please, if you could subscribe and comment and let me know where you're watching from and share your experiences in this community, I'll be so grateful. But thank you once again for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until the next video, guys, take care. Stay blessed.